Davenport, Iowa. And we're going to do a feature on a gentleman who came to Davenport and stayed in Davenport and died in Davenport.
Cary Grant was born Archibald Leach on the 18th of January 1904 in Bristol, England. The house was at 15 Hewenden Road, and it's marked today with a blue plaque acknowledging Grant's birth. When Archibald Leach was about 10 years old, he was told his mother had went away on a vacation, and later that she, in fact, had died. But actually, she had been committed to the Bristol Insane Asylum. Now it's called the Glenside Hospital Museum. Cary Grant also attended the Fairfield Grammar School from 1915 to 1918. These buildings are all still there, as is the Bristol Hippodrome. I spent quite a bit of time in Bristol over the years, so I was able to find these locations and document them with my good old trusty film camera. Bristol Hippodrome was a fascination to Cary Grant, or to Archibald Leach. He was gravitated towards the theater, and he started working just as sort of a page or a gopher there at the theater. As a result, he met Bob Pender, the boss of a traveling group of comedians and acrobats, and he persuaded Pender to let him join the company. In 1920, Cary Grant was with the troupe when it visited the United States, and Cary opted to stay in the United States while the rest of the group returned to England. The Bristol Hippodrome celebrates the connection with Cary Grant, and they have inside of it the Cary's Bar, dedicated to their most famous former employee. Ultimately, Cary Grant was signed to Paramount Studios, and that's where his name was indeed changed to Cary Grant. According to popular legend, Mae West discovered him, saw him in line. He had already been in a few films.
I kind of glanced out the window, and I see this good-looking guy walk across the street. So I said, this is about the best-looking thing in Hollywood. Who is he? So they looked, and they said, oh, that's Cary Grant. We haven't used him in a picture as yet, but we made tests of him with some of the starlets. I said, well, if this guy can talk, I'll take him. So they called him in, and we met, and he said, how'd you do? And I said, okay. And they said, what part? I said, the lead, of course. So he got the lead.
All you had to hear was, how do you do?
Yeah, the voice.
Cary Grant's career is covered extensively in so many other places. His final film was called Don't Run in 1966. He largely retired from the screen, and in 1986, married to his wife Barbara Harris, he was touring the country in a one-man show, A Conversation with Cary Grant, which is what brought him to Davenport, Iowa.
We're in Davenport, Iowa right now to visit a location, the Adler Theater. Now, according to the marquee, Tanya Lewis, Mean Girls are all scheduled to come here. In November 29th of 1986, it was an evening with Cary Grant at the Adler Theater. Now, Cary Grant was in Davenport to do a question and answer sort of thing. They play about 10 minutes of movie clips of his career, and then it's Q&As, really. That's all. I mean, talk about printing money. I mean, people make a fortune doing those things, and the people love those things. I certainly do. And but what's kind of curious about this, one of my favorite artifacts that I've ever received from a buddy of mine called Alan Light. Alan gave me a ticket to this event. So I have in my hand a ticket to an evening with Cary Grant, a conversation with Cary Grant. And this is the ticket to the show that Cary did not do, because in between tech rehearsal and the show time, Cary Grant died here in Davenport. So thank you, Alan Light, for giving me that ticket, one of my prized possessions. That was like one of my very first artifacts. And I was so thrilled to get it that I had it framed, and I have it. It's like, it's got artist tape on it, you know, and I don't want to take it off of this thing. It could be taken off, but I just don't want to. So it's protected. It's not just, you know, like glued on there or anything like that. So this is where they would take your tickets. Well, actually, this is where they'd sell the tickets, and this is where they take the tickets. But the tickets were never taken. The thing is that the audience, the showtime was going to be 8:30 p.m. And it says that the patrons were already in the theater when the announcement of Cary Grant's illness was made shortly after 7 p.m. Most stood quietly in the lobby, waiting for information about Cary Grant's condition. Lois Jacqueline, the director of Visiting Artists, which sponsored his appearance, said the actor had appeared to feel all right during the 4 p.m. rehearsal. He was chipper, in fact. He made several changes to the microphones, shifted the stool where he was sitting, and made some rearrangements for the screening of some of his old film clips. So I understand that he wanted to move his stool a little bit closer to the audience for the Q&A portion. He was apologetic for the length of the run-through, they say. But stagehands applauded the old pro, a veteran of dozens of movies. But as he was leaving the stage, Mrs. Jacqueline noticed that he asked for support from his wife, Barbara Harris. That was the first indication, but I didn't think anything of it. Look, Alan, we made it inside. So Chandler's going to show me where this ticket goes to the seat.
So we're in aisle 1 for this, and I believe it's AQ8, so it'd be section A, row Q, C8. So aisle 1. And our floor goes A, B, C, D, so we're in A. And then my floor markers are on the floor. We're about to replace some of them. They had a really nice view, honestly. The seat would have been given them extra leg room. So this is their row. It goes 1 through, I think this aisle is 12, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 12.
Look at that. Alan, your ticket made it. Made it to your seat, one way or the other.
Can I take a photo of that?
Yeah, that's great. So this would have been your view.
That would have been the view.
That's great.
Slightly off center, not far in from an aisle, and you're right in front of what we refer to as the golden circle. So the balcony starts above you, right around the L. This section in front that's uninterrupted, we call the golden circle. It's the best for sound, and you're not too far from that divider, so very lovely, especially.
The last time Cary Grant spoke to people in public was from this very location. Chandler, can I talk to you on camera? Do you mind?
That's fine.
It's so nice of you. So you're the director of guest?
Technically, yes. So my title used to be the guest services manager for the person before me. My title is the associate ticket office manager. So I'm the assistant manager in the box office, but then I staff the theater. So any ticket taker, any usher who takes you to your seat who is a volunteer here, and then I take care of some of our historical items.
So what do you know about Cary though, being
Cary Grant.
Yeah, being
so
here.
He was here with his wife. They booked into the Black Hawk. He was supposed to do a show here with us and a speech. If you talk to my union people, they swear there's an area downstairs that's haunted by him, and that it always smells of flowers, and that it's him.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, IATSE swears by it. I remember it was one of the very first things they told me about this place.
Oh, how fun is that? I hope so. I mean, he was he was a performer.
Yeah.
And why would you want to haunt like a cemetery or a funeral home? You want to go where?
Yeah, we opened November 25th, 1931 as part of Radio Keith Orpheum Circuit, RKO.
So it was a film theater.
Moving picture, yeah.
Yeah.
A picture house was what it was called prior to movie theaters. So we operated as the RKO until about the 70s. Ginger Rogers was the star of Suicide Fleet, and in November of 31, she sent a telegram to open us. We opened it. We did very well, did a lot of film. If you look way up there, those windows.
Oh, the
are where
projection booth, yeah.
Old film room is up there. I still have all of the equipment since it's so old. It's not coming out. And then in the 70s, with the advent of movie theaters, picture houses started to go out of style. In 1973, Cleopatra was our last movie, and we kind of sat, unfortunately, closed and in disarray for a while. And then in the 1984, I believe, the city decided to do the River Center for the Performing Arts and constructed it, and then it revamped us at the same time. We reopened in 1986. So we're coming up on our 40th
Nice.
reopening, and 1931 will be our 100th year since being open.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so. It's hard to keep a place like this going. So.
It's a lot of work. We are on the National Register for Historic Places. RKO's art consultant was Dreyfus. That is the architect that the Drake Hotel was named after. Very important. And then the architects who designed us, it was Graven and Maker. We were the last one they did together before one of the architects passed away and the company had disbanded. So,
Wow.
a lot of history here.
Yeah, no kidding. Those must be the original lights up there.
Yep, a lot of what's in here is original, so those are some of my original chandeliers. The carpet in here is not original, nor is the fabric, but the seats themselves are original. And then they were given a revamp.
Yeah.
And then we did extend the stage in the early 2000 back into Mississippi lofts, and then they redid our dressing rooms at one point. So those are no longer original, but they have been revamped.
Okay, so the original stage was then up to the wall there, probably.
A little bit further back since the curtains are down.
Okay.
We extended backwards into Mississippi lofts, which is the building connected to us.
Okay.
It's the same architects. If you actually look at the external of their building, you'll see flowers in there that match the inside flowers of mine because it's the same architect, but we did take up some of their main floor space.
Okay.
With Broadway, you need a little bit more space on stage.
Sure.
And to make sure that we could still do that, we wanted a little extra room.
So then, how far back would this picture have been?
So he would have been on stage. What that is the view of section B.
Can I come up?
See the soundboard.
Am I allowed?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
This stool would have been right here, but that photo was taken slightly off center looking this way because I can see the soundboard in the back in section B and A.
Okay, so we're right about where the mark
It would be
is.
just about right there, correct?
Okay. The X marks the spot.
Yeah, so when I'm looking here, it goes section A, B, C, D. This is A and B because I can see my office in the back corner. And then this is the soundboard.
Okay, there we are. I am standing exactly where Cary did his sound check. And they were going to show clips and a Q&A.
Yep, I do believe so.
And
Evan Esser, who is the production manager at the Adler Theater, shared this photograph of Cary that they keep backstage to commemorate the fact that the last time Cary Grant was on stage was there at the Adler Theater. After he got off stage, he was in his dressing room just off the stage here, and he started feeling kind of dizzy with stomach issues. He began to vomit. 3 people took Cary Grant by chair, carried him in a chair out to the car, which was in the front of the theater, and they drove him the short distance to the Black Hawk Hotel.
well, that was fortuitous. So, what the lovely Chandler took me all over the place, and the whole office was thrilled to see that, to see the ticket. So we're just gonna walk over to the Black Hawk. I know. So he was on 9th floor, 907 was his room number.
So that was about 6:30 p.m. at the theater when Grant started feeling ill and was driven this short distance from the theater to his hotel suite. So Cary was staying here with his wife, Barbara, and now we're in the lobby. So he was staying on the 9th floor. So he would have walked up these stairs. He probably assumed he'd feel better taking a rest in his hotel room, but that was not the case. He continued to vomit in his hotel room, and eventually doctors were called. 2 Davenport doctors, James Gilson and Dwayne Manlove, and they immediately phoned Grant's doctor in Los Angeles. But it was clear that Grant's condition was not just a stomach flu, it was progressing. And at 9 p.m., an ambulance arrived to take Cary Grant to St. Luke's Hospital. He was still coherent, so this would be probably the last photograph taken of Cary Grant alive, or at all, as far as I know. So they brought him out from the elevators down these stairs to the waiting ambulance and took him to St. Luke's Hospital, where he never recovered. So here it says that Cary Grant died of a massive intracerebral hemorrhage on November 29th of 1986. And he died at, let's see, I'm looking for the time of death here. But he did die at St. Luke's Hospital. And St. Luke's Hospital was important in Davenport history. It belonged to the National Registry of Historic Places, and it belonged to the Davenport Registry of Historic Places. And those of us who live in Los Angeles know what happens to historic places, don't we? The former location of St. Luke's Hospital in Davenport, Iowa, where Cary Grant was taken here from the Black Hawk Hotel. They say he sat in the emergency room for about 45 minutes until he was assigned a room in intensive care, which I find kind of surprising because it's not that big of a place, and I'm not belittling it. I don't mean it to be in any nasty way, but 45 minutes for Cary Grant to be waiting in the emergency room is kind of interesting. So there you are. St. Luke's Hospital is gone. Cary Grant is gone, and soon from Davenport we are gone. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Before we go, I just want to show you a couple of other photographs that I have in my Cary Grant file, since I'll probably never use them again. And here are a couple of images from a Cary Grant statue, which was unveiled in Bristol near the Hippodrome in December of 2001, I think, is when it was unveiled. And then lastly, here are photographs of Cary Grant's Beverly Hills home that's listed on his death certificate. This was his home where he lived until he died. And of course, here is the mailbox. So thank you, Chandler and Evan from the Adler Theater. You guys, everyone at the Adler was terrific. Gary Thielen for information you helped me with for decades and decades ago. Oh, and of course, Alan Light for the ticket, which kicked off this entire journey of mine. You're a terrific friend to have, and I thank you for your generosity. And I thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. And until next time.
Judy, 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 Judy.